Thank you for sitting down with me again. Since last year when we discussed the Mass School Building Authority process, we have made some progress. So just a quick review, the Mass School Building Authority is an organization that was developed by the state government to assist towns in dealing with large-scale capital projects that are needed to keep their schools viable and energy efficient. And when I say large-scale capital projects, we're talking about roof replacement, boiler replacement, windows and doors. That would all be under their accelerated repair program. Or, even more comprehensive, a large renovation project or a new building, and that's under their core program. And they've been very successful in doing this. They have a budget each year that is roughly 1% of the sales tax for the Commonwealth for the previous year. And then what they do is they utilize set criteria to look at the applicants who have put in a statement of interest to determine which school and or district might be the most urgent, and then invite the most urgent into their program each year. So that's the Mass School Building Authority. Over the last year, as you know, we put in for both the Accelerator Repair Program, and that's a program that, just like its name says, goes a little bit quicker than the core program, and it specifically looks at how do we assist school districts and towns to replace windows, doors, boilers, and roofs. So last year for the Meadowbrook School, we put in for the windows, doors, and roof. We actually, through our own capital planning and maintenance, had already replaced the boilers at Meadowbrook, and we're looking to keep our school that houses our youngest children viable for years to come. And we actually were brought into the MSBA Accelerator Repair process as of last May. So we are experiencing not only the process for the first time, but also assistance of up to 55% reimbursement for that project, which is pretty incredible. So we're getting roughly 55 cents on every dollar that we'll spend in replacing the windows and doors. We didn't get accepted for the roof, but we will put back into the accelerated repair process or program this year. So we're excited to be working with the MSBA in the accelerated repair program for the project in Meadowbrook. We're working closely with the town finance director, town manager, town council to go through this process because it's got multiple steps. First part of the process has been creating a schematic design and a full budget for the project. That's just recently been accomplished. And then the next step is to draft a funding agreement with the Mass School Building Authority and appropriate the money from the town to actually go and begin the project, begin the actual construction, which is pretty exciting. We're hoping, if all goes well, that at Meadowbrook we can get bid packets out in March, have them returned either late March or early April, and then award the bid somewhere in that same time frame, and then start construction in the summer. Because with school projects, your window of where you can do most of your large-scale construction are the summer months. So that's our goal. Knock on wood. Hopefully we'll hit that. In terms of the core program for the Mass School Building Authority deals with now much more comprehensive projects, large-scale renovations of schools and or a new building. So we have, over the last 4 years, submitted for East Longmeadow High School. And each year, I think not only do we get better at writing these statements of interest, and they take a good deal of work. I don't know if you can see these two binders here, but the larger one is last year's statement of interest to the MSBA for the core project or core program at the high school, and the smaller one is the one for Meadowbrook Elementary School. And what we do is each year, as we re-enter the statement of interest process with the Mass School Building Authority, is I will revise that, seeking the assistance of our superintendent of the Department of Public Works, the facilities manager, possibly outside consultants who have looked at, say, all the roofs or have looked at the electrical system, and bring hopefully new information into the statement of interest so that we continue to provide the Mass School Building Authority a very clear picture of the challenges that we face in just trying to keep, in this case, the high school, a viable and productive learning setting for our students. So the hope is that sometime in the early fall, we'll be invited in to the core program for the high school. And the last few years, I think we've gotten down, it's a very competitive process. They average anywhere from 80 to 100 statements of interest for their core program a year. They invite in anywhere from 15 to 20 based on the square footage of the applicants. As the more square footage, obviously the higher the cost, and then the quicker their budget goes. And then they use their criteria of, one is they're a structural situation or safety issue with the building. That's probably the highest priority for urgency for them. Then is there overcrowding in the school or in the district? Then is the school one that possibly is in danger of losing accreditation with the New England Association of Schools and Colleges? So that's certainly one that we check off because of our smaller lab spaces in our science classrooms, because of our electrical system at the high school, because the fact that our HVAC system is basically original to the building, which is now getting up to about 58 years old, plumbing and so forth. All of those systems are beyond really their life expectancy. And so that's another priority we check off. And basically, the more information we can provide, I think the more urgency is felt, I guess, to the reviewers at the Mass School Building Authority.
Do you have, we could do an estimated cost now for the, how much they're going to be covering for the Accelerator?
Oh, in terms of reimbursement?
Yeah.
You know, I think each project is recalculated. But if the Accelerated Repair program that we currently are in for the Meadowbrook project is any indication, then we should be 55%, you know, in that area, 50, 53, 55, 57, somewhere in that area in terms of reimbursement.
That's pretty good.
Which is very, yeah, that's very exciting. Which is why we continue to be in the process. I mean, it makes sense to, if you're looking at spending millions of dollars and you can get assistance from an organization like the Mass School Building Authority, it makes sense, especially if ultimately the reimbursement is higher than 50%, which right now it is for our one project that we have going with them. The one item which you know, I want people to certainly understand is it has been a long process, and we understand that at times it's a frustrating process. People often ask, one, how can they help? And we certainly appreciate that. And it takes a whole community to get behind a building project. Right now in the application process, I think it's probably the most challenging and most frustrating because there's not a lot that the community can do. Certainly the support of the school committee and the town council, the town manager and town finance director, that is something that is incredibly helpful both in the application process and as we go through. It's also really important as the MSBA reviews statements of interest, because one of the areas that they look at is the town ready to support a project? So having that support going into the application process really matters. And then in terms of the community at large, I think as we get invited into the process and we're moving now towards what will that project look like, what is that renovation, that would be the time where more community members can get involved at sort of the ground level, if you will. Because at that time we'd be looking to form a building committee. We would need a group to help us get information out in terms of the different steps of the project and the different steps of the Mass School Building Authority process. So really right now, we want to get in, or get the invitation to get into the sort of the Mass School Building Authority pipeline, and then we certainly will be looking for community help as we go through the various stages.